Imagine standing before a still, quiet lake. Every thought, every emotion, every action you have is like a pebble dropped onto its surface. If you throw each pebble in random directions, one from the left, one from the right, one with force, another gently, the water's surface becomes a chaotic mess of ripples unable to form any clear pattern. But if you drop each pebble in rhythm at the same spot, the waves will synchronize, amplify, and spread outward as perfect, powerful circles. That is exactly how the universe responds to you. Not through the checklist of tasks you complete, not through scattered efforts, but through the overall frequency you emit. In the quantum world, everything is energy, and energy vibrates at frequencies. Matter, sound, light. They are all just different manifestations of oscillation, and human consciousness is no exception. The problem is, most of us live in a state of signal interference. We say, "I want to be happy," yet inside we're full of worry and doubt. We set the goal, "I will be wealthy," but every thought of money triggers feelings of lack. We tell ourselves, "I trust the universe," but we still stay up at night checking our phones for signs. And the universe, which operates like a quantum mirror, doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to the real signal you are transmitting. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle called superposition. A particle can exist in multiple states at once, but when observed, it collapses into one definite state. Your consciousness works the same way. When your inner world is fragmented, thinking one thing, feeling another, you're broadcasting conflicting signals, leaving reality with no clear state to collapse into. The result? A life of half-formed outcomes, opportunities that come and go, relationships that start then crumble, goals that almost manifest but slip away. The true power lies in certainty, not desire. Wanting is a weak signal. It often carries the undertone of lack. I want implies I don't have. Knowing, on the other hand, is an entirely different frequency. I know it is mine because I am aligned with it right now. When you're in a state of knowing, you're no longer chasing. You don't ask when will it come because, deep in your subconscious, it's already here. Look to nature for proof. A seed doesn't want to become a tree. It knows it will sprout when the conditions align. The ocean doesn't want to make waves. It knows waves are its essence. Light doesn't want to shine. It knows radiance is its natural state. And you, as a quantum being, operate by the same principle. When you know, the universe synchronizes with that frequency. There's another concept in quantum physics called coherence. When particles or waves oscillate in phase, their energy doesn't just add up, it multiplies. This is why a laser beam, just light, like any other light, can cut through steel, because the photons within it vibrate in perfect harmony. Apply this to life. If your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in harmony with a single goal, you become a laser beam in the cosmic field. Conversely, when your inner world is scattered, part of you wants, part of you doubts, part of you fears, you're like a dim light bulb, glowing faintly in all directions, but igniting nothing. This explains why so many people do so much, yet achieve so little. They operate from fragmentation. And why some do so little, yet their results explode. They act from perfect coherence. So how do you shift from wanting to knowing, from fragmentation to coherence? The answer lies in inner alignment. Instead of asking, "How do I get it?" ask, "Who am I when I already have it?" When you start thinking, feeling, and acting as the person who already possesses what you desire, your signal becomes unified. The universe no longer perceives someone trying, but someone who is, and quantum principles have no choice but to reflect that state back to you. Your reality is not the result of your to-do list, it's the result of the frequency you broadcast. You don't need to prove yourself through struggle, you simply need to become the frequency you want to experience. When your inner world plays one clear melody, the universe will dance to that rhythm, no delays, no missteps. And that's when you realize reality doesn't come from chasing it. Reality comes from resonating with it. Now imagine standing in a vast concert hall where hundreds of instruments are playing. If each instrument plays its own tune, the violin pulling a melody here, The drums beating a random rhythm there, the horns blowing disjointed notes. The result is a cacophony, harsh and unbearable. But when all instruments synchronize, when every violin, every drum beat, every note aligns, the music becomes a powerful, transcendent experience that moves the soul. This is the essence of coherence in quantum mechanics. When particles vibrate in phase, their energy doesn't merely combine, it amplifies exponentially. A single photon is weak, but millions of photons in perfect alignment form a laser that can slice through steel. Not because each photon becomes stronger individually, but because they are perfectly in tune. Now, look at yourself. You are not merely a physical body. You are a complex energy system where thoughts, emotions, and actions are vibrations constantly transmitted into the universe's field. The problem is, most of the time, we resemble that out-of-sync orchestra. The mind wants one thing, the heart doubts, the actions lack conviction. You say you want love, but your heart carries unhealed wounds. You claim you want wealth, but every financial decision stems from fear of loss. You long for freedom, but your daily habits keep you chained to the old. When your inner signal is divided, your energy is dispersed, like a weak light bulb casting a dim glow in all directions. It shines, yes, but never ignites anything. In contrast, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions move as one, you become the laser of your own life, focused, powerful, and unstoppable. In science, this phenomenon is known as quantum coherence, the ability of microscopic particles to maintain a tightly connected state, producing outcomes beyond ordinary limits. In life, we call this the power of inner integrity. When you say, "I trust," and your heart truly feels it, and your actions reflect that belief, the universe has no choice but to respond. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract everything effortlessly? They aren't always the hardest workers, nor are they necessarily the smartest, yet something about them makes everything flow smoothly around them. That is coherence. They are not at war with themselves. They do not have to force themselves to believe in something. They become it. And when you become a clear frequency, reality aligns with you as naturally as a compass needle points north. A famous physics experiment shows that when multiple pendulum clocks are hung on the same wall, they initially swing out of sync, but after a while they all begin to synchronize, swinging in perfect unison. Energy naturally organizes into order when there is a fundamental connection. Humans work the same way. When you adjust your deepest inner layers, the scattered pieces of your life, work, love, health, opportunities, begin to find their shared rhythm. The fascinating thing about coherence is that it doesn't require forced effort. You cannot yell at yourself to be happy and expect your heart to overflow with joy. Alignment happens when you release inner fragmentation, when you peel away the layers of contradiction, the negative thought hidden beneath a positive affirmation, the fear lurking behind a smile, the doubt shadowing every vision of your future. So how do you reach this state? The first step is honesty with yourself. Acknowledge where you are, saying one thing but living another. Only when the light of awareness touches these blind spots can coherence begin to form. The second step is restoring unity. Imagine the version of yourself who has already achieved what you desire. Feel their emotions, act as they would act. This isn't pretending, it's frequency alignment. The final and most crucial step is trusting the process. Coherence doesn't happen overnight, but when it arrives, it transforms everything. Remember, the universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you are. And when you are a coherent field of energy, one thought, one feeling, one action, you no longer need to chase reality. Reality will find you, like water seeking the lowest ground, like a radio wave locking onto its frequency. This is the power of coherence, the force that turns an ordinary person into a living magnet for their own destiny. Look at the universe around you. Planets orbit the sun in perfect trajectories. Atoms vibrate in precise patterns. Light travels along the simplest straight paths. This cosmos functions not because of forced complexity, but because of absolute simplicity. A pure order, where energy always chooses the path of least resistance. Simplicity is not laziness. It's not apathy or avoidance of responsibility. Simplicity is clarity, knowing exactly what you want and allowing your energy to flow smoothly, unentangled by unnecessary clutter. When you are truly clear, every action, every decision, every thought moves in the same direction, like rivers flowing inevitably to the sea. No force, no strain, only consistency. The problem for most of us is that we confuse effort with effectiveness. We've been taught that the harder we struggle, the more we suffer, the more worthy our success will be. But energy does not operate on that logic. In nature, electricity flows through the path of least resistance. Sound waves travel through the medium that carries them best. Light doesn't take a detour to prove its worth. It follows the shortest, straightest route. Energy doesn't reward struggle, it rewards clarity. Picture your mind as a river. When the water flows freely, it is cool, powerful, and constantly replenished. But if you block it, dig too many side channels, or keep throwing stones into it, you create chaos, whirlpools, stagnation, floods. The same is true for overcomplicated thoughts and emotions. Overthinking, self-doubt, control, clinging tightly to everything, all create resistance, slowing and weakening the current of your inner energy. Quantum physics reveals an intriguing truth. Quantum systems naturally collapse into their most stable state, where energy is distributed in the most optimal way. In everyday terms, this means everything seeks simplicity. When you strip away unnecessary complexity, you allow your life to reach equilibrium, where things become easier without losing their power. Have you ever experienced a moment of clarity, a moment when everything suddenly made sense, when you realized that what you were seeking was always simple, but you had been overcomplicating it? Maybe it was when you understood that love isn't about finding the perfect person, but about acceptance and presence. Maybe it was when you saw that success isn't chasing dozens of goals, but committing to one true path. These moments are not about loss, they are about liberation, like dropping an invisible burden you've carried for years. Simplicity is also the strength to let go of control. You can manage how you think and how you respond, but you cannot control the universe. When you try to micromanage every variable, you broadcast a signal of fear. I don't trust that things will work out. And the universe responds to that exact signal, with delay, frustration, exhaustion. Conversely, when you are clear about what you want and allow things to unfold naturally, you send out the signal of trust, and energy finds its way to you with ease and surprise. Some call this the art of simplicity. In meditation, it's returning to the breath. In science, it's Occam's razor. The simplest solution is usually the correct one. In quantum physics, it's the principle of least action. Everything moves along the path requiring the least energy. And in life, it's a reminder. Don't complicate what is inherently simple. So how do you harness this power? First, maintain clarity. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what society tells you to want, not what you think you should want, but what your deepest self desires. Next, remove what is unnecessary. Each time you catch yourself overthinking, pause and ask, does this really matter? Finally, trust the flow. When you've done your part, clarity, aligned action, let energy do the rest. Trust is not passive. Trust is the ultimate strength of simplicity. Remember this, simplicity is the purity of power. It doesn't need to be loud or flashy, but it is constant and enduring, like sunlight streaming through your window every morning, without asking permission, without fanfare, simply existing and illuminating everything it touches. When you live with that kind of simplicity, you become the path of least resistance for your own energy. And when that happens, the universe has no choice but to flow straight to you. Picture yourself standing before a still, glassy lake. You toss a single pebble, and ripples spread outward, steadily, without needing you to throw more. The universe, at the quantum level, operates in much the same way. With one clear initial impulse, energy finds its way to expand and evolve. But to access this power, you need three fundamental shifts, three changes in how you think and interact with reality. 1. Choose clarity over control. We live in a society obsessed with control. Everything is scheduled, monitored, adjusted, from work and finances to our own emotions. We're taught that if we don't control, we'll lose everything. But in truth, control doesn't create power, it creates resistance. In quantum mechanics, a particle only becomes stable when observed in a particular state. Observation isn't about force, it's about a clear choice. I see it as this. When you are clear about what you want, you create a point of convergence for energy. You don't have to interfere constantly to make it happen. You simply signal it and allow the universe to respond. Think of planting a seed. You decide what you want to grow, place it in the soil, and care for it just enough for it to sprout. But if you dig it up every day to check its progress, you destroy the life within. Constant control does the same. It disrupts the natural flow of energy. This first shift invites you to make a clear choice and then release the need to micromanage every step of the outcome. 2. Release attachment to time. Humans are obsessed with time, deadlines, schedules, perfect timing. We believe that if something doesn't happen according to plan, it has failed. But at the quantum level, time doesn't exist as we perceive it. In modern physics, there's a concept called coherence, a state where components oscillate in perfect harmony. When a system reaches coherence, transformation happens instantly, independent of how long it has taken. This means the universe doesn't respond to your calendar, it responds to your readiness. Imagine trying to open an automatic door. Arrive too early, and the door isn't ready. Pound on it impatiently, and you only exhaust yourself. But walk up at the right moment when the system recognizes the signal, and it opens effortlessly. Life works the same way. When you stop chaining your dreams to deadlines and instead focus on inner alignment, you free your energy from pressure, and everything arrives precisely when it should, neither too early nor too late. Letting go of time attachment doesn't mean inaction. It means acting from readiness, not from the fear of running out of time. In this state, you start witnessing miracles, opportunities, people, solutions appearing exactly when needed, as if the universe had already arranged them for you. 3. Trust the first alignment. This is perhaps the hardest, trusting yourself the first time. Most of us are trapped in a cycle of doubt. We set an intention, then immediately question it, revise it, repeat it endlessly as though the universe were deaf. But every time you repeat from doubt, you send an inconsistent signal. I want this, but I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong. In quantum physics, a system subjected to constant measurement can't evolve. It's stuck in a limbo state, known as the Zeno effect. Likewise, your life stalls when you fail to trust your initial alignment. Return to that image of the lake. When you toss the first stone, ripples begin to spread. If you keep throwing more out of fear that the first ripple isn't strong enough, you only disrupt the harmony. One clear, confident intention carries far more power than 100 shaky, doubting ones. So how do you trust? By understanding that the first moment is strongest when it comes from genuine clarity. If you've chosen clearly, shift 1, and freed yourself from time pressure, shift 2, then your first signal is pure, untainted by anxiety or expectation. Trusting it means allowing energy to do its work. These 3 shifts, clarity over control, detachment from time, and trust in first alignment, are not just lofty ideas, they are fundamental principles of the universe. When you apply them, you stop trying to change reality, and instead merge with the flow of reality, where things become easier, faster, and more profound than you ever imagined. Ask yourself right now, am I truly clear? Am I letting the clock dictate my dreams? Do I trust my first inner yes? The answers to these questions could change everything. Because when you make these 3 shifts, you don't just transform how you live, you transform how the universe responds to you. And that is the true power of quantum mechanics in our lives. Pause for a moment and ask, what am I really seeking? What am money, love, health, success, or deeper still, a sense of safety, wholeness, and living as your authentic self? We often believe these things exist out there, and our job is to chase them down. But quantum physics offers a radically different perspective. You don't need to chase anything, you simply need to become it. In quantum theory, all possibilities exist simultaneously in what's called the field of probabilities. A particle can occupy many states at once, and only when observed does it collapse into a specific state. This means that among the infinite versions of reality, There already exists a you who is healthy, successful, in love, and free. You don't have to create those versions. They already are. Your task is to tune yourself to their frequency. This is the difference between chasing and becoming. Chasing stems from lack. I don't have, so I must strive to get. It sends out the signal of deficiency, and energy responds in kind, bringing more experiences of lack. Becoming arises from presence. I am, so I simply live this way. When you think, feel, and act from the stance of already having, the universe reflects back realities that match. Imagine you want financial abundance. Chasing means you're constantly hustling, always feeling it's not enough, worrying daily about money. Becoming means you embody abundance now. You feel gratitude for what you have, make decisions as someone who values themselves, and trust that life will bring fitting opportunities. And when you do this, financial opportunities, relationships, and support start showing up. Not because you forced them, but because you've matched a reality where they are natural. So how do you become? First, remember your original frequency. Before society taught you that you had to struggle to be worthy, before layers of doubt, fear, and comparison were piled on, you knew who you were, a being of inherent value connected to the universe. Take time to listen to yourself. What makes your heart expand? What brings you peace and fulfillment? That is your true frequency. Second, live as if you are already there. This isn't pretending, it's aligning with the version of you that you've chosen. Want health? Eat, move, and care for yourself like someone who values their body. Want love? Treat yourself and others with kindness and respect, as one who lives in love. Want success? Work with confidence and creativity, as one who trusts their worth. Finally, release the need to control the outcome. When you've become, you no longer need immediate proof to validate yourself. You know your energy has been sent, and reality will respond in its time. This is where many stumble. They try becoming for a few days, see no instant result, and revert to lack. But in quantum mechanics, it's the consistency of frequency that collapses the wave function into the desired reality. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to remember who you truly are and choose to live from that version. When you do, life stops being a tiring pursuit and turns into an exhilarating discovery. Because in truth, you've never been missing anything. You're simply learning to see it and align with it. The universe does not reward those who run faster, nor does it punish those who slow down. It simply mirrors your state with absolute honesty. And when you become the frequency of what you desire, you'll realize you never had to chase anything at all. You were it from the very beginning. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a vast river. The water flows gently, continuously, never stopping. If you relax and let the current carry you, the journey becomes smooth, effortless, and often faster than you expected. But if you choose to swim upstream, fighting against the natural flow, you exhaust yourself, grow frustrated, and may still never reach your destination. Life and the universe operate just like that river. And the core message quantum mechanics whispers to us is this: I allow it to be easy. At first glance, this sounds overly simple, even unrealistic. Many might scoff, nothing is that easy. If you want something, you have to work for it. And yes, we were raised in a system that glorifies struggle. To succeed, you must work tirelessly. To be loved, you must sacrifice. To be worthy, you must earn it. But modern science, especially quantum physics, reveals something entirely different. Energy always seeks the path of least resistance. It doesn't fight, it doesn't get forced. It flows harmoniously through resonance. In the quantum world, every particle, every wave, every field of energy interacts and adjusts to reach its most stable state. When you strike a perfect note, a nearby instrument tuned to the same frequency will vibrate without being touched. When you emit a harmonious signal, peace, confidence, trust, the universe responds with events, people, and opportunities that match. Conversely, when you are tense, doubtful, or forceful, you emit dissonance. And the universe, like a mirror, can only reflect what you send out. I allow it to be easy does not mean sitting idly, waiting for miracles to fall from the sky. It means you stop building walls in the natural flow of energy. You still take action, but not from fear or lack. You still make choices, but not to control everything. You still live, but with the faith that things can come to you in the smoothest possible way. Take the pursuit of a goal as an example. When you push yourself with the mindset, I must do this or I'll fail, you've unknowingly tuned yourself to the frequency of failure from the start. You operate from stress, and your results often mirror that: delays, setbacks, burnout. But when you approach it with, I am open to this coming to me in the easiest way, you invite far more possibilities. Unexpected opportunities arise, the right people show up to help, and progress feels fluid. This isn't magic, it's resonance, pure quantum phenomenon. One of humanity's greatest lessons is learning that ease does not equal worthlessness. We often link value to suffering, believing only what comes through hardship is meaningful. But the universe doesn't run on that logic. Flowers bloom without strain, the sun rises without struggle, and you too can live a fulfilling life without draining yourself dry. The only thing that needs to shift is the belief that life must be hard. Next time you face a challenge, try asking, what is the easiest path here? How can I soften? How much can I trust the flow? When you ask these questions, your brain, a relentless solution finder, begins to notice opportunities, answers, and pathways you previously missed because you were too focused on the fight. And then, something remarkable happens. Reality responds immediately. Maybe it's an unexpected call that opens a new door. Maybe it's a sudden idea that solves a problem you've wrestled with for weeks. Or maybe it's simply a sense of relief that lifts your energy, enhancing your productivity, creativity, and connection. When you align with harmony, the outer world, always just a reflection of your inner state, rearranges to match. Quantum mechanics has proven this. The observer doesn't just witness reality. They shape it through observation itself. And how you observe, through tension or through ease, through fear or through trust, determines the form reality takes. So, try choosing this message for yourself today. I allow it to be easy. Write it down, whisper it silently in your mind, or simply breathe it in. Not as an empty mantra, but as a deep permission. Permission for yourself, your energy, and the entire universe to operate in its most natural way, harmonious, gentle, and abundant. You might be surprised to find, when you stop resisting, everything finally falls into place.